Morning, everyone. This is my watch list for Tuesday, April 28th. All right, so what happened yesterday? One of the lowest volume sessions that we've had, I think, in the entire year. Very, very choppy on SPY and the Qs. Not a lot of action, but we didn't really do much. Unraveler caught a couple of nice trades. I took a small loss, but yeah, we didn't really do much yesterday. It was a choppy session, very slow. However, what's happening today? We're gapping down. I think based on what's happening pre-market, we're finally going to get a move, okay? So SPY, what can we watch for? Same thing as yesterday. Break below 712. This would be the failure of previous all-time high, and we can get a move all the way back down into 703, which was that big demand from before. If we get the break below 712, we can go to 703, okay? QQQ is almost down 1% in the pre-market, all right? Same thing. So the Qs, I was watching this for short under 662. Again, like very choppy, wiki action, not a lot of continuation. However, things could all change today, right? If we can actually break some of these previous levels, then anyone who's been trying to long this fake trend is going to get stopped out, right? Longs will have to get stopped. All right, so what can we look for? Either the flush below 657, again, previous all-time high, capitulation if this happens. If we actually lose 657, hold below 657, we're going back to 650, right? 7-point potential intraday move. Or we can watch for the pop and fade off the previous day low. Since we are gapping down, this is now valid, right? We can watch for the pop and fade off of 661. If for whatever reason we reclaim 661, then we're gonna get choppy again. Back into the previous day range, right? Obviously, that's we don't want that to happen because then we'll just chop around again, all right? So 661 for shorts or below 657 for shorts on the Qs, right? We're gapping down 1%. Let's get some follow through. Let's get some follow through this time, all right? Oil futures are ripping, okay? Obviously, tension in the Middle East still. So let's get some continuation. Let's look at the individuals. Apple didn't do much yesterday. You know, I told you guys I was watching the 269 reject. I kind of did it pre-market today, actually. 269.50 rejects in the pre-market. Yeah, I don't know. This chart doesn't look great to me, okay? You know, we have demand at 262. We have supply right here at 269.50. It's already kind of rejecting the pre-market. I just don't see a lot of opportunity here. AMD, I do, right? 310 is the gap fill. Everyone's like, oh, you can't, don't short AMD at 350. It's just so strong, right? Well, look at this. All it took was 2 days and it wiped out that entire move, right? Look at this. It's down 10% in 2 days, all right? Now, that doesn't mean that, this isn't a potential long, right? We could still long at the gap fill. So this daily gap fill, I'll turn on view up so you can see it very clearly. There you go. We have a daily gap fill down into 310. All right, 310 I actually like for longs. If that holds today, it's pretty weak name, but I do like 310 if that holds. If it doesn't hold, it's going to 300, right? And then below 300, I mean, that could start serious capitulation back into like 288, okay? Let's see what happens. I don't think it's going to sell that hard that fast unless market completely just gives up these levels, right? 310 we can watch for longs though. Amazon is back at demand, 258.50. This was the previous all-time high. Let's see what happens off the open. It's already there in the pre-market. Below 258.50, the next level down is 256. 256 can watch that for holds. If not, I mean, obviously it just depends on the strength or weakness of the market. If market sells through these levels, like if the Qs sell through 658, 657, I'm not touching longs. I'm not touching longs if the Qs just are selling through demand. And the SPY, if SPY loses 712, I'm not touching longs. I'll be watching shorts, okay? And it looks like we are starting to sell already in the pre-market. Let's see what else. Netflix actually got really close to that level yesterday, 91.35. So it was very close to my 91, and it did get a nice bounce. It didn't exactly, I wanted a little wick below and reclaim. Maybe we get that today. So I'm still watching that 91 level. NVIDIA, look at this. NVIDIA, close so strong. I bet it trapped a lot of people in the overnight, and all those people are going to be forced to sell off the open. 212 was the breakout level, and that's also the previous all-time high. So you zoom way out, 212, okay? So this also turns into capitulation if we lose 212. Why? Because again, a lot of people probably swung this overnight thinking, oh yeah, this is great. We're over all-time high. Let me swing long, okay? If we lose 212, capitulation down into 207, the session low from yesterday, and then we lose 207, it goes to 204. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but let's see what happens at this 212 level today. Right? We lose 212, it's selling. That's just a fact. PLTR, I'm not, I said the 148 level is just not really doing anything. Tesla, I mentioned this 368 level yesterday. It got a little move into 364, like a $4 move, but then it just reclaimed and ripped into the afternoon. And it's back, it came back to test supply, 381 to 383 was supply, and now it's just kind of in the middle of the range again, right? 368 to 383 is the range on Tesla. Yeah, I mean, if it gets back below 368, can look for shorts. If it gets above 383, can look for longs. And as it's in the middle of the session, I wouldn't touch it. Or in the middle of this range, I wouldn't touch it. Okay? All right. So let's see what happens today. Going to be an interesting session. It looks like markets are starting to price in reality. But again, let's see what happens. Algorithms have been very eager to buy the dips. So let's see if they buy the dip again today, or do they finally allow price to capitulate below previous all-time highs. All right, so 657 on the Qs and 712 on SPY. That's my main watch for today's session, as well as a couple of betas. Okay, all right, so hope everyone has a great session. And oh yeah, another position, check this out, SOXS. All right, we nailed this. We got in Friday at the close, right? 13.50. And now it's up to 15.50. That's a $2 equity move. You guys see in the pre-market, it's up 10.5% already, okay? Yeah, everyone said, don't short the semis, they're so strong. Well, look at this, SOXS, XX, the one I mentioned that you can short any pop, is now down 5%. This ETF is down 5% in 2 days. And our friendly 3 times leveraged ETF is up 15% in 2 days. All right, so we nailed this, and I'll see you guys on live.